Everything you need is already inside of you. The world would not be what it is without you. When we begin to create change within us, we begin to create change in the world around us. Your journey to becoming your best self as the whole person starts right now.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Lauren Sweeney and I'm your host of the Become Your Best podcast and webinar series. Whether you're watching us live on our Facebook page or you're listening, perhaps on your way to work or on the way home, we're excited that you are here. Let me tell you all about our guest today. L.Y. Marlow is an amazing, incredible person. She is an award-winning author and a sought-after empowerment advocate. Oh, I love that. An influencer whose life journey took her from a legacy of domestic violence to the opulence of corporate America and now to a life devoted to inspiring other women. We are so excited that she is here, and she is the award-winning Color Me Butterfly and compelling and heart-wrenching story behind the national organization that she founded. It's called Saving Promise. Oh, I love that. We are excited that she is here as we talk about embracing your fears, confronting them, and living a life of passion, purpose, and power. L.Y. Marlow, we're excited that you're here. Welcome to our podcast.
Oh, thank you. I love that introduction you just made. I was sitting here like, oh, who is that woman? Who is she?
Oh, that was me. I can see now why the butterfly in your background goes with the butterfly that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So now you work with women all over and help them feel really amazing in who they are. How did you first get into this journey?
You know, I'm a storyteller as an author. I'm a storyteller. So let me just take a minute and tell my story. I come from a legacy of 5 generations of domestic violence and abuse. And it would actually be the story of my daughter's little girl named Promise that became the 5th generation when she lay on the bed next to my daughter, when my daughter was strangled and nearly killed for the 2nd time by Promise's father. And I remember the night, Lauren, I got the call that my daughter was almost killed, and discovering that this person that had not only strangled her while their 6-month-old baby girl named Promise lay on the bed beside her, but also threatened Promise. And so it would be that story that would, I don't even want to say inspired me. Those words are too small for me right now. I come to realize that would call me, my life purpose, to walk away from a 20+ year corporate career and launch a national organization called Saving Promise. I literally was going to save Promise. I had no experience around entrepreneurship. I had no experience around launching a nonprofit. I had no experience around domestic violence. The only thing I knew about domestic violence was the story I wrote in my first book called Color Me Butterfly, when I decided I wanted to be an author, and someone said to me, write what you know. And what do we know? We know our stories. So I started telling the story about the 4 generations, my grandmother, my mother, myself, and my daughter. And Promise wasn't even born when I was writing that book. She would be 6 months old when that book was published. And there she was laying on that bed next to my daughter as my daughter was almost strangled and nearly killed. And so it was that story that launched me to propel into Saving Promise. And years later, I would write my 3rd book called Don't Look at the Monster, where that title came from Promise when I was going through a horrible time in my life, Lauren. I was going through a divorce. I had just lost my mother. I was emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially bankrupt. And I remember I was coming from New York City on a train, Amtrak train, back to DC where I live, to get a few hours of sleep, to only fly out to Seattle to speak at a conference about my Saving Promise story. And I was sitting on this train and I was beyond tears. And I remember the last words my mother said to me before she passed away. She said, I'm so proud of you. Whatever you do, I always want you to continue to do what you're doing for Saving Promise. And my mother was Southern bred, old fashioned. She didn't tell you she loved you, she showed you. So for her to share and say those things to me, I took it to heart. But when I was on that train, ready to just give up on everything, including Saving Promise, it was those last words that made me pick up the phone and call my daughter to be reminded of what my mother said to me. I needed to hear her voice, and I needed to hear Promise's voice. So my daughter had come used to me calling her in tears like this, and she did something she would always do. She put Promise on the phone. Promise was 3 years old at the time. And she calls me Bumblebee. To this day, she's 14 now. And she calls me Bumblebee. And she said, Bumblebee, are you crying? And I said, yes, baby, I'm crying. And then she thought really hard, a 3-year-old trying to comfort me. And she said something my daughter and I told her when she discovered she was afraid of the dark. We would tell her, just close your eyes real tight and just don't look at the monsters. So that's what she said to me on that call. She remembered what I shared with her when she was crying. And she said, but Bumblebee, just don't look at the monsters. And that would become the title of my third book and the inspiration behind a for-profit company that I launched called MonsteRise, inspiring women to use their passion, their purpose, and their power to live their best life and to confront their AKA monsters, their fears, their worries, their doubt, their regrets, whatever it is, whatever your monster is, you can overcome it. And so that story is what propelled me to be whatever I can be to help other women and to inspire them.
Wow. LY, amazing. I love the conviction. I love too that you were so real about almost giving up. And then it was your granddaughter that reminded you, no, rise up for you. Remember what you told me about the monsters. They're not real. You can visualize something else in your mind.
Yes, a 3-year-old. So think about that, Lauren. She understood her monsters may have been imaginary under the bed in the dark. Our monsters are real. But even still, you can rise above that. You can become your best. You can live your best life. Let me tell you this. That was 2007 when I founded Saving Promise. My mother passed away in 2010. I was going through a divorce. And from that point all the way up until a year ago, I confronted every type of challenge you could imagine. It was so difficult to raise money for Saving Promise. There were so many times, even after that ride on the train, that I wanted to walk away and give up. How many of us want to give up when it's when it's a struggle and it's too hard? And I keep reminding myself that I cannot, despite having gone through major health issues, trying to launch Saving Promise and stick with it almost cost me my life. I was diagnosed with life-threatening illnesses that attacked every part of my body, my brain, my heart, my autoimmune system. I remember laying on a table at NIH, which is the National Institute for Health, laying there with tubes in every part of my arm because they were trying to figure out what was going on with my heart. You know, I remember laying in an MRI where they were doing a brain scan because I had been diagnosed with a brain tumor. You know, sitting in doctor after doctor office because I had autoimmune diseases that were attacking. Autoimmune attacks your body. Sitting in the bankruptcy court, thinking about how am I going to eat tomorrow? Because here I am in a bankruptcy court. I don't even have the money to pay my rent, let alone buy a bowl of rice. And this is the story I tell in Don't Look at the Monster. But to this day, I continue to march on because I know that I have a purpose. And to give up on myself, it may be okay, but it's not okay to give up on my God-given purpose. We all have a purpose. We all are put here for a reason. And particularly in the moving towards the post-COVID era, which I believe we have forever shifted in our life, moving towards that, if you don't acknowledge that everything is happening for you and not to you, that every step in your journey, that every moment in your journey is a purpose. Sitting on that table at NIH with all those tubes in my body is a purpose. I'm not saying we have to suffer, but we can choose to use that suffering to help change lives.
And you chose to. A lot of people may choose not to use it, and maybe they can repurpose it and use things now. Use it now that they're hearing you. What if a woman hasn't, men as well, but I know you specifically work with women. What if a person is going through something or went through something and they just don't know where to start? Where do you recommend that they even begin?
Here's where I start. And I was on a phone counseling someone who is coaching someone this morning who is looking to run for a very high esteemed office. And she had called me through her own personal story, through a story of domestic violence. She found out who I was through the media. I do media. And she reached out to me, and I've been having these sessions with her. And I said to her, there are 4 things we should all think about, whatever we're taking on, whether or not we want to launch our own business, whether or not we want to run for office, whether or not we want to get out of an unhealthy situation, whether or not we want to change careers or have a different family or get married, whatever it is. There are 4 things you should think about, and I call them my 4 Ps. You need to have goals around these 4 Ps in order to answer that for yourself, and in order to figure out how to overcome whatever you're going through. The first P is, what is your personal goal for yourself? What is that personal goal that you have for your life, that you imagine and envision, maybe even as a little girl, or maybe as a big girl now? Maybe you've gone through some transformation because of COVID. I just heard from somebody today. She told me that both her parents passed away, her best friend, and several colleagues in a short order of a few years. Mm. I just read that email before I got on here, and I wrote it back and I said, oh my God, right? So what is your personal goal for your life? What is your professional goal? What is it you want to achieve professionally? And with this person that I'm counseling around running for office, she said, my professional goal is to run for office, right? Then your third P is, what personal development do you need to get you there, to help you achieve your personal and your professional goal? And then your fourth P, and forgive me for saying this, and for those that say, you know what, you shouldn't think that way, get over it. What profit are you looking to gain? And profit doesn't necessarily mean monetary, right? This person is running for office. When you run for office, there ain't no profit. When you run a nonprofit, there ain't no profit. It's called nonprofit, right? So profit can come in a form of financial profit. Some of us want financial freedom. I am not ashamed to say I want financial freedom. Mm-hmm. I want the freedom to choose, right? I want the freedom to be able to get up in the morning and enjoy what I do. So there's no shame in your game if you want financial freedom, right? So it could be financial profit, or it could be profit in your health. How do your body profit? It could be profit in wanting to finally pursue your dream to write a book. This person shared with me she also want to write a book. There you go. So those are your 4 Ps. Ask yourself, what is my personal? What is my professional? What personal development do I need? And what profit do I want to make out of it, whether it's monetary or not? We should always start there. Tap into that and then align them with where you want to go. I know there's a lot of woo-woo around, live your purpose, live your passion, I'll speak real about it. I say I'm grateful that God has given me the gift to be able to live my passion, my purpose, and my power. My passion is to write. I love writing. That's what I wrote my first book, Color Me Butterfly, before Promise was born. Turns out that book is the whole inspiration and that story behind my purpose, Saving Promise. That's the way I give back. I give back by saving promise. And it's not no small feat. As part of that, I'm now, I'm the principal, one of the principal and founding partners of the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health Learning Labs for Domestic Violence. So I help lead that effort. I have relationships with major organizations like the CDC. We all have come to know the CDC. So that's no small feat, right? So that's purposeful. And then what is your power? We all have power. And I said to this person who was ready to walk away from her dream to run for office, I said, for you to walk away, you are giving your power to the person that's telling you cannot or you should not. The woulda, coulda, shouldn't have kind of people, the naysayers, the persons that are abusive to you or whatever it might be. The moment you say no to yourself and yes to that, you give your power away. So I said to her, we will not give your power away again. We will never give your power away. You have power to do whatever you want. It all comes down to a choice. Am I going to lay on this table at NIH and just feel sorry for myself? Or am I going to get my behind, my booty, my ass up and do it? Do it. Because it's not about me. It is not about me. It's about the community, whatever that community you worship, that you serve, whatever that is.
I love in your 4 Ps, it has that personal development. What is it personally you want to do? What do you want to do professionally? And first, or along the journey, what do I need to do with inside of myself? What kind of work do I need to do? Do I need a coach? Do I need to talk to someone? What do I need to do that's in my way potentially? Then I can really make an impact and really make a difference. And how do I want to contribute? And how do I want to be contributed to? I love that you said it can be money. It can be energy. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, they want a sense of peace.
Yes.
They want
peace.
Yes, peace.
Peace. Give me peace. Peace of mind, peace of body. Yes. Peace for financial freedom, peace to get up in the morning. You know what I did this morning when I got up? The first thing I did is I cleaned up because I like things have to be orderly for me. And I adopted a dog. His name is Henry. And if Henry jumped in the clip, I said to Lauren, I said, if Henry shows up, this is real.
It's all good.
I'm trying to make it perfect. We ain't perfect. In fact, let Henry come into the clip if he shows up. But I adopted him 6 months ago. Named him Henry. So it turned my whole world upside down. You know why I got Henry? Because in healing, I took a year off. I just returned back to Saving Promise in March of this year. I took a year off to heal my body, literally, from all the things that I talked about. And one of the things that my psychologist / life coach said to me that I realized in my healing journey, my personal development, was that I was always waiting until this is done, or maybe after I get this, or when I get this much money or whatever. So she asked me, what do I want for my life? I call her Dr. Sharon. I lay on her couch all the time, virtual couch now, every week. I realized I always wanted a dog. And I had been holding off, and I said, I'll get a dog after COVID. And one of my good friends said to me, why are you waiting till after COVID? Now is the perfect time to get a dog because you're in the house, you're quarantined, you got the time to train it and be there, and instead of leaving it in a crate by itself all day. And I was like, you're daggone right. And on top of that, I need my little messy world messed up a little bit because I'm a project manager by training, and everything got to be orderly. Well, guess what? Henry has come in and messed up all my stuff. And you know what? It's great. It's great to be a little messy sometimes. Get outside of our boxes and our perfection. And I'm going to do it when this happens and when this is in order. And after that, no. Because the one thing that COVID has taught us, Lauren, is that no day is promised. No day is promised. No day is promised. My girlfriend who lives with me now, her aunt and uncle died of COVID within a week of each other.
Wow.
Within a week of each other. Right? No day is promised. No day is promised. So if you are listening to this right now, this whole podcast is called Become Your Best. And if you don't take the opportunity right now to figure out what your 4 Ps are so you can have peace, Peace of mind, peace of freedom, peace of freedom to do what you love, freedom, financial freedom, peace in your mind, body, heart, spirit, your family, your community, then shame on you. Shame on you for waiting and for putting you off. I do a program that I just launched, Lauren, and this is not a pitch. I'm real about this. This is where the 4 Ps came up from.
Yeah.
I do a program that I'm launching. In fact, June 3rd, we have our first mastermind called FAST.
Nice.
Fast action success technique. And I have a cohort of women in a 3-day mastermind.
I love it.
Where within 3 days, when I'm done with them, these are women who aspire to own their own business, to launch their vision, whatever it might be. Within those 3 days, I promised them in 3 days, you're going to come out of FAST with a blueprint and you're going to be launching whatever you desire in 3 months. That is my commitment, because you can't wait. You can't wait for perfection and things that are promised to you, or I'm going to wait till next year until this and this and this. And that's why that program is called FAST. And you put it on the screen, bootcamp.lymarlow.com is a boot camp.
We're gonna make it happen.
In 3 days.
It's gonna be the Din Club, the do it now club, right?
Do it now, because in 3 days, if I got to stand behind what I promised, know that we're going to figure out your 4 Ps. We're going to make it happen, and it's going to happen. And my whole vision for my life now, I want to see millions of women around. I might not be there. Become Your Best is part of that. The work you all do. There's so many other influencers out there. Women, this is the time for women to rise up and be able to say, I am doing it fast. Fast.
I love that. We ask people, we always ask them, what does it mean to you? And that's what it means to you. It's creating it, coming up with their 4 Ps, and then doing it now. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
What are we waiting for? LY, if people want to connect with you, I know you're on social. I know they can go to your website. If they're listening, it's LY Marlow, MARLOW.com. And of course, if you want to see it visually, just go to our Facebook page, Rise Up For You. And then if they want to get in on this fast, on this bonus, on this, making it happen, they can go to bootcamp.lymarlow.com. And I know they can also get a free call with you there too.
They can get a free call. If you don't know what it is that you should be doing, I'll help you figure it out. I'll help you. I'm not ashamed to say this. Trust me, I've gone through my journey. This is not, me just smelling myself and my ego. I'm really good at strategically helping someone figure out what their niche is.
Love it. Because once they know their niche and they can do it fast and make it happen and feel in alignment. Feel in alignment in every part of your body, your mind, your spirit. And when we kick off fast, you know where we start first? We start with the mindset. Of course.
We ain't even starting in terms of your niche, your business. I change your mind. I get you thinking about your life differently.
Yes. That's where it starts. Our mindset, recreating the things we are thinking and building it just like a muscle.
Building it like a muscle. I read a book years ago, but I think it was Lisa Nichols. Yeah. She wrote Flexing Your Muscle. And she was talking about the different muscles that you have
in the mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that we all had muscles in the mind until I laid on that table, that MRI table. That I did a blog. I started keeping a blog when I found out that I had thank God it was benign, but it was still serious, benign brain tumor. You don't think about your brain until somebody tell you there's something wrong with it. So I started learning all about the brain. Do you know we only tap into like less than 10% of our brain?
Amazing.
Less than 10%. So think about that. If you change your mindset and you feel like you're at the top of your game right now, imagine if you tapped into another 10%.
Absolutely.
Imagine that.
LY, I mean, we could just keep going. The energy, I can feel it just coming off of you. I love your intention, your passion, taking things that are horrific that have happened to you, and that of your daughter, and saying, I'm going to use this for a purpose. And I am intentional and passionate. I also love that you had the self-awareness to take that time off to physically heal so that you're here and ready to give back. We so appreciate you being on today.
Thank you so much. I will keep in touch. I love this. I love everything you all do. And my closing remarks is do it now. Fast.
Rise up for you.
Rise up for you.
And do it now. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Yes.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Oh, so great. I didn't mean to catch you off.
And I love you.
So
Thank
good.
you.
Oh, it's so good. Wasn't she amazing? I love that passion and that fire. You can feel it. So if you've needed that today, we brought it here on the podcast. We thank you for listening to Become Your Best podcast and webinar series. We also want to let you know that coming up very soon in the second week of June, we have our free business conference, riseupforyou.biz/impact. And you can grab your free seat there. I'm Lauren Sweeney. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see